All right, everybody, we're back on Skywatchers Radio right here on the Dark Matter Radio Network, of course. Also live on PSN Radio. If you guys are listening in, please join the chat over on psn-radio.com. Check out the chat over there. And, of course, right now we're going to be joined by a few gentlemen who might have a thing or two to say about what we were talking about with Bill, Nancy, and James on the previous segment. We have none other than, and I'm going to go down the line here so everybody say hi as I mention your name. First of all, we have Mr. Chris Brown on the line. Chris Brown, say hello to the crowd.
Hey, how you doing, Angel?
All right. I didn't think you were going to say hello there for a second. Spooked me. All right. Then we also have Mr. Tim Swartz on the line, Conspiracy Journal's own, and from the Outer Edge. There you go. Sorry.
There you go. No. It's a hello to the crowd. How's that?
Jumped the gun just slightly, almost at it. And last but definitely not least, by no means is this man least, the one, the only, Mr. UFO himself, Mr. Timothy Beckley is back on Skywatchers. Welcome back, sir.
I'm always flying high when I'm on the air on PSN Network. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, man.
Okay, I got to ask what state you're from if you're flying high.
What state? Oh, well, I'm in the Big Apple, snow-covered.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Oh, I thought you were saying you're flying high because it's in a state where it's legal.
Well, maybe that too.
Out in Oregon.
No, I gave that up. I gave that up 40 years ago.
Funny.
He's just in a natural state of euphoria.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, that works too.
Hey, this
40
is my
years
first,
ago, huh?
This is my first Skype broadcast.
It
Really?
is, and you sound fabulous.
Yeah, how about
yeah,
that?
because you just got yourself hooked up here with this amazing amount of hardware. I mean, this man went crazy spending money. He bought himself mixing boards, professional Yeti microphones. I mean, he went to town and spent $20-something on a headset.
There you go.
And he sounds great. Look at him.
It was $39, I think. Yeah.
Oh, you must have gotten the one that came
But
from directly from Amazon.
That included free shipping.
They really charged you for the shipping now, dude.
Absolutely, yeah.
One way or another,
There's
they got it
nothing
out of
free
it.
about. Yeah,
That's
there was
right.
nothing free out of that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
nothing free. But you sound great, Mr. UFO.
Thank you.
do.
Well, I've been doing this. I've been doing this now since the mid 1960s. I think I did my first radio show, and I've probably been on over 1,000 radio and TV programs. And now, thanks to you, Angel, I'm getting my own show after all these years.
Not only that, and finally, after all this time, you finally sound great on radio. Look at this.
Congratulations all around.
Well,
Yeah, no, he is starting his own show. In fact, he is sort of taking over a show that once was held by the man who's on the line with us, Mr. Tim Swartz. Tim Swartz, I know. I say Schwartz, I'm sorry.
Ah,
But
that's all right. May
the other
Schwartz be
Tim,
with you.
the Schwarzenegger, of course, he's taking over Unraveling the Secrets with Timothy Beckley now.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And my co-host, Carla Anderson.
Carla Anderson and Timothy Beckley are unraveling the secrets.
And that will be starting February 7th at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. See, we're moving up in the world.
Yes,
Or
indeedy.
Sideways or
Excellent.
backwards.
Well,
As long as we're not traveling back in time, that's always a good thing. Moving forward.
Unless you're going to change something in the past that's going to benefit the future, then it's kind of worth it. No?
Yeah.
I'm alone on this one, huh?
I'd have to think about that. I've been almost perfect all my life, so.
But don't you wish that you can go back to that one time that you weren't perfect? Like, that one time you were caught picking your nose in traffic or something.
Well, no,
pretty
the worst
lady.
the worst experience I
Happens to
ever
me all
had,
the
I think
time.
I might have mentioned this to you, Angel. I was on a TV show with Woody Derenberger and
That's
a couple
bad.
other people in Washington, D.C. And I got a bloody nose while I was on the air. But
God.
now, actually being, used to the camera and so forth, what I would do is luckily there were two or three other guests, while they were interviewing, the cameras were on the other guests, I would be busily wiping the blood from my nose. But that has to be certainly one of the most embarrassing experiences. And then one other time I was on a TV show, and I thought, geez, I'll dress really nice. I'll wear a blue shirt. And I was supposed to show like a dozen slides. Well, the slides would have shown on my shirt because in
blue
those
screen
days,
instead of green
blue screen. Yes, indeed. So they had to go around the studio and find somebody with the same shirt size so they could loan me their shirt. The broadcast.
I can imagine that conversation. Can I borrow your shirt? You fit. Same size. Same size. Take your shirt off.
I'm going to take the shirt off your back.
Yeah, he meant that literally.
All these things happen.
Not playing. Yeah, they do. Now, in the last segment, we were talking about conventions, and we've all kind of had our fair share of experiences in conventions, but none has had better experiences, I think, than Mr. UFO himself and Alan, the co-host here, who was owning it, like we said on the first segment. But Chris Brown is also going to be on a convention pretty soon, right, Chris? You're going to do your first big convention?
Yeah, my first one here. I'm working with the director of the McMinnville UFO Festival here in Oregon. And so we've
cool.
been in touch here, for actually 2 weeks ago we talked, and we're working with him. We're actually maybe trying to get Bill there, so that'll work out, but who knows? But yeah, that's in the plans. So if that happens, that'll be in I believe May 17th to like the 21st, I believe it goes on, or the days.
Are you part of the organizational side of it, or just one of the speaking guests?
Just going to be one of the speakers, yeah, just to get myself out there. And
it's in McMinnville.
In McMinnville, yep. And, for those who don't know, McMinnville's synonymous with the first, I believe it was, picture that they had a farmer took a UFO disc in a field or something.
The Trents.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
See, now, this is my point. All these more than decent UFO conventions that are out there are all in these obscure places where the mainstream
but here's the thing.
Can't normally get to.
But these places is like where a lot of the people are getting abducted. That's kind of like where they're
You're
going,
right. They do have a significance to them, and I'm not denying that. What I'm saying is that to get more attendees, they need to be in more larger population density.
But
that's true.
Let me tell you something.
Please.
You say that, and now I'm the master of holding conventions. I started back in the mid-1960s. The mid-1960s, when you could rent a banquet room for $100. Today, if you go to a large city, they want thousands of dollars for a setup. You're never going to even break even. So you better find somebody who is just going to finance it for the heck of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now,
Exactly.
I used to work different deals with hotels. Like I was doing it maybe 3-4 years in Phoenix, and we had a deal with the hotel where if we filled X number of rooms, they would give us the facilities for free.
A sliding scale of attrition for the hotel rooms.
But it doesn't work quite that well anymore because people used to come from all over the world. I mean, I had people from Scandinavia. I'd had people from England. Now you don't quite get that concentration of out-of-towners. So
I agree.
It's really hard to attract an audience anymore.
Oh, my goodness, yes, because they're watching you, Tim Swartz, on the History Channel. They don't need to...
Very true. Yeah, no, he's absolutely right. Yeah,
very true.
And they're listening to us, who are giving all this valuable information away for free.
You're right. Yes, in one degree, but I'm saying my whole philosophy on this is that those people that they've seen on TV, they'll be able to get to meet some of them in person and actually ask questions to them instead of just listening to what they're spewing on TV.
Yeah, well, you know, our good friend there, the Open Mind people, they seem to have it pretty much sewed up and contact in the desert if you go for the more extreme element of this. But it's a very, very costly thing to put on. Now, let me tell you, in addition to this, I had a couple of hearing impaired people who wanted to come to the conference. I had to hire signers, hand signers, which cost me $50 an hour. So at the end of the weekend, I had a bill for close to $3,000 just for that. So there's a lot of elements.
Mental note and make a mental picture.
Yeah,
don't have sign language people there.
Well, no, but you can't legally. You have to. If somebody comes and they are hearing impaired, you must provide them. You must provide them with a signer, and you have to have two. Because have you ever tried signing for 12 hours? You can't do it. It's like on and off for an hour at a time, and then you got to get the next person.
We can get the guy from the Obama speech in Africa pretty cheap, I think.
I was just thinking.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that guy would not charge us much. He needs work.
Also, airfares today. As you know,
I have alliances with. I understand your concerns, but luckily because of what I've done in the past, the skill set that I bring to the table and how I would organize the event would be
bring that stack of money to the table. That's what's important. But
I know.
Okay, let me tell you this too.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay,
Alan.
all right.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this too. In addition to, you say what major cities are you talking about? Like Chicago, New York?
Yeah, those are two of them.
Okay,
out
well,
of the
see,
7.
okay. Here's the problem with that. You cannot get any publicity in those towns. You have to pick a town like I did, like Phoenix, or a little smaller community where you can get in every newspaper. If you come to New York City, you're not going to get 1 square inch, and an ad will cost you $500.
I'm sorry, I got to ask the stupid question. Why would you even want to advertise in a newspaper nowadays?
Well, where would you advertise?
The target market that we
the internet, Facebook.
But it's not going to bring you. That's not going to bring you in a huge audience.
And the newspaper is who reads the newspaper? Really?
Are you kidding?
No,
me?
I don't.
Really?
I don't think. Yes.
Who reads the paper these days?
Who reads? You're right. Who reads the paper these days?
You're right about that. You're right. But it used to be. It certainly used to be.
It's all social media. It's all social media now. And I've been in the running events world on the comic book, sci-fi, fantasy, and horror.
Comic books, and UFOs are a totally different.
Agreed. 100%.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I 100% agree with you, but I do believe some of the methodology of promoting those events crosses over.
Are you going to do this?
That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah.
Oh,
that's what we've been planning. We've been planning
I have hotels that are willing to work with me. I have.
Well, yes, you can find a hotel that's willing to work with you, but getting a sizable audience there to cover your nut is not that easy.
All I want is 1,000.
We got big nuts, though, Tim.
You're not going to get 1,000 people. I doubt it.
I would beg to differ with what I have planned and how I have it planned. But I want the opportunity to try and do it.
Give yourself. You got to have a year to organize it. Don't do it any quicker.
18 months. 18 months.
All right, that's good.
Yeah, 18 months. That's what I've done for the other events that I've been involved with. And just to deal with everything from the hotel to the advertising, the marketing, and getting people to sign up, and getting the guest list. And the staff that's going to monitor all the rooms and everything. There is a formula to doing this. I'm just hoping that it'll translate from what I've done in the past into the genre that we all have a passion for. And now a hush falls upon the crowd.
Well, I was just thinking, I wonder anymore how many people out there are that interested in UFOs, on their own.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, Tim. I can tell you,
I've got 200 books that we've published. UFOs are not the big topic at the moment. That's for sure. They're not. I mean, most people are interested in more paranormal type of stuff, mainly in spell books and the occult and what we would call the old line of the metaphysical.
I don't know if I agree, because as we look to what's even on TV and on YouTube, and even with open minds and everything else, there's more and more people that are watching the videos. There are more TV shows coming out about UFOs, ancient aliens, ancient mysteries.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those people are going to come to your conference. But on the other hand,
if you take a commercial, I'm sorry, but if you take a commercial, I was going to say that's what
yeah, of course.
If you make them aware that it's coming, and for the cost-effective price for them to get in the door, and it's literally, they could either take a bus over or drive over. They get to interact with the people they've seen on the TV. They get to ask them questions. They get to hear their opinions in real time. Even maybe get a photo op or an autograph. Guess what? People will come to the door.
Well, maybe they will. Let's hope so.
That's right. Hey, and, for $10, we'll kiss them too.
Well,
I do it for $5.
Hold on. No matter who it is, hold on.
Well, women only.
I was going to say,
don't get no ideas there, Mr.
Angel's taking out his wad of 20s.
I am a kisser.
I was going to say, for $20, you even get some tongues. So, you know.
That's a guarantee, by the way, ladies.
I didn't need that visual, but thanks for sharing. But my whole premise of this is that the one thing I have noticed about the UFO community is that there's nobody that is, how can I phrase this right? There's nobody that's replenishing the fan base. There's nobody, people that are into the UFO community are just getting older and older. There's no younger crowd that's really delving into it.
But
and that's what we really,
Alan, that's what we're doing.
Right, that's what we're doing now.
That's what we do.
And you got me, because that's kind of the way I'm looking at myself as kind of the new blood of, I guess, of.
Well, here's the thing.
What you hit on right there, Alan.
Here's the thing. There's a person that I know that I was really good friends with at one time, and we've actually since spoken and mended fences. And he had a great term for what you're exactly describing there, Alan. He called it the new guard of ufology.
Yeah. Okay,
and
I'll give you
really,
that.
That's what ufology does need. And he came up with this term a few years ago. He ran with it. Unfortunately, it hasn't really caught on as it should. But guess what? Ufology.
But
really
the ideology of it is there.
Exactly. The ideology is perfect, because you're absolutely right. You know, we do need that new voice in ufology.
That new voice is watching YouTube for what's out there. They're watching websites, and they're watching the TV shows. I mean, my girlfriend has 3 kids, and I'll tell you, on Friday nights, everyone's watching, the History 2 channel, whichever alien show is on, whatever's on, and we all talk about it and discuss it. I mean, there are teens and there are 20-somethings that have a passion for this, but they don't know how to access it outside of their keyboard or their computer.
That's true.
This is what I would like to do.
Well, and that would be, to me, that would be great. If there could be a resurgence of interest, within, the younger community, because, like you said, I mean, the
existing conventions that are out there now in ufology are all the attendees that are going are people that are that have seen each other year after year after year, because they have the passion, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's really no new blood, and these places are so out of the way. People have to save up way too much money to even get to multiple events, or even just one.
You could have asked Bill Burns. Did he discuss the conference that they had in Jersey City, right next to the PATH train, and had hardly anybody there?
And how long ago was that? And
a couple of years. I don't know, 3-4 years ago.
Okay. And what did he, besides where it was, what else? What did he discuss with you? What he think he did wrong?
No. I don't think he was the actual. I don't think he was. It was somebody else who was the actual promoter. I believe
he was just one of the speakers.
Here's the thing. Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, Tim Beckley. It's all about promotion. It really is.
Yes, it is.
How you put this out there.
It certainly is to a large degree. Absolutely, I would agree with you entirely.
If you know exactly how to reach your target audience, these things could be very profitable and very successful.
Maybe so. It does take a lot of work. And
profitable and successful are two different things. They don't.
Here's the thing. That's true too. But here's the thing. I've seen a lot of conventions, and I've seen some of the UFO conventions in the last few years since doing the radio stuff.
Yes.
And I've interviewed people that are going to conventions, and they plug their conventions, and then I follow up with them. And the one thing I've always noticed is the marketing sucks for a lot of these conventions.
Yes, they
don't
do.
know.
Absolutely.
They don't know what they're doing. It's a terrible, artwork on the websites. I mean, it just looks sloppy. It looks like a third grader did this.
Yeah, we're going to be the new guard.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's all eye candy, and it's all in the way you reach the masses and how you get them to be interested in what you're trying to put together. And it is all a marketing technique. Look,
and it certainly would help if there were a few more sightings to go around.
Well, that too. But here's the thing. Why do you think the comic book conventions are so big? Comic book conventions, in the 80s weren't as big as they are now. They've grown and gotten really, really big because of the way they're handled, the way they're put together, the way they're marketed. The stuff that is there is very interesting. It's all sci-fi stuff and comic book stuff, and people dress up for it. I mean, you could do the same kind of similar thing with ufology very easily. You have big names in ufology you could draw from. You have big events. You could have sections for the Rendlesham Forest event, or incident, for the Roswell incident, for Travis Walton stuff. I mean, you could have all these big names and really market it properly, and really put something nice together that would really, pique the interest of people. But here's the thing: you have to have the right person behind us and in
Yes,
charge
absolutely.
that knows what they're doing and knows and has the experience to doing it with a new logical type of sense, not the old way of doing these kind of conventions, which is where ufology has failed over and over again in the last decade plus. I think, look, Open Minds does a great job with their conventions. They really do. They're one of the few leading the way. They really put together their conventions the right way. That's why they've been successful. They draw people to these things.
Well,
but the question is who are they drawing? They're only drawing what we now have termed the old guard. The repeats again and again. And one thing we've learned is okay, fine, maybe even if we say
but not always. It's not always.
That's
just
why
that.
I'm saying, hang on, Angel. If 25% of the people are new attendees, just given that, okay, just on average, 25 new people, and there's a churn ratio of some type that I'm sure we don't know, but it's there between new and old people. They might do a great event, but it's all the old guard, I guess, and they don't cater. The only way you find out about the conferences is if you've been to another conference already, or you come across it, luckily, on a website, and that's it. If you come across it.
But here's the thing. They're as popular. But here's the thing. They're so popular now, Open Minds, that people know about them. If look, anybody who's into ufology eventually will stumble across Open Minds. I mean, that's the way it is now. I mean,
but the obscure places that they have the events is not justifiable to get out to. I'm saying, what is it? You don't bring Muhammad to the mountain. You bring the mountain.
Well, let me ask you this question:
like that.
Why such a hankering to get this out there and to share this with? I mean. Why? What's the necessity of doing this, really?
I mean,
is it a
answer
financial
that, or
thing?
should I?
Or is it a financial thing? Or, I mean, are you looking to make money on it, or do you want to spread the word? Or
how about a little bit of both? It's a fair answer.
A little bit of both. I mean, look,
obviously, a little bit of both is a fair answer.
Obviously, you have to get paid for it because you're putting your time, effort, and resources into it. So you're going to have to make money. Yeah. I mean, look, in any business, if you go into it saying, I don't care if I make money or I lose, you're an idiot. Straight up. Because every business you go into it knowing that, hey, I have to turn a profit. I have to make money at this. If not, what am I doing this for? So, of course, you're going to go into it thinking, monetarily trying to make some money. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's a little bit of both because we really love the subject. And, this is something that I think and he thinks could be really, really important and big if done right. Am I right, Alan?
I think it's a subject that eventually is going to be proven like, we told you all so. Here's the papers. Or either that or, hey, look, they're landing.
What was it that I said that I would love to be that show that proves and comes out with some info or some news that hasn't happened on their show that proves the UFOs are real, that the whole thing is real.
Once that happens, though, all of us are out of a job because then it'll be taken over by the scientists and people like that who say we told you all along that this was real. And, the Tim Beckleys, the Tim Swartzes, the Angels, we're going to be forgotten about.
Me maybe, but not you guys.
Don't say that.
It's true.
I have put 50 years into this, not to be forgotten.
Nobody can forget you, Mr. Beckley.
Okay, I guess we're going to have you as one of our primary guests of honors at the inaugural event, right?
He's Mr. UFO. Hello.
Well, you have to.
I was being a little sarcastic about that.
And I command the big bucks.
Really?
That's the event was $15.
Because after all, now I have my own radio show.
$15. That's right.
Well, if you have your own radio show, you know where you're going to get paid the big bucks? We'll actually advertise on your radio show. That's where you'll make the bucks. How about that?
There you go.
See, I play fair.
Well, you made a good point, though, when you were talking about, say, like Comic-Con and DragonCon and places like that, and why they have become so successful, within the last, probably, 10, 15 years.
No. DragonCon is on year 28 right now.
But I mean, now though, I mean, you're talking about, an audience of, thousands, You
Yeah,
know,
the last 15
tickets are
years is
sold out.
double or
Dragon Con
triple.
gets 78,000 attendees over 3-4 days in
Yeah.
Atlanta every year. I'm
Exactly.
there every year.
Exactly. That's my point. What do they do right?
Marketing.
Because when I was a kid, comic books, there was the comic book geeks, like myself, and that was about it. Now,
Wow, that must have been lonely.
It was. Well, I mean, you didn't have.
Explains a lot about you. I'm just saying.
You didn't have the internet or anything like that where you could connect. I mean, you were lucky if you could find, like a group that you could, like mail to or find a magazine, that catered to you. But now you have the internet, which is, such a beautiful thing.
It's a great equalizer.
Yeah, where everybody can, find their soulmate, so to speak, with this. So, what can
and then sell them on Amazon.
See,
what can the UFO community do? What can UFO conferences do that follows?
I have
the same
a
footsteps?
list already. Don't worry about it. I've got it.
Can't give out all the secrets on the air, man.
No. We want to hear all the secrets.
No. Tim, I understand where you're coming from. I've been in the convention world for 20 plus years. Comic book, sci-fi, anime, horror, home shows, state fairs, things like that. I've been entrenched in it on the other side of the table or on the other side of the booth or running something in the background for many a year. So I understand what you're saying, and what I'm saying is what I want to do will retranslate some of the ideas, concepts, and methodology that has worked for those conventions and bring it into the UFO conventions.
Agreed.
Yeah, which, I mean, to me, that would be a beautiful thing.
Tim Swartz, you know me, and I'm not a very excitable person. I'm very calm and relaxed. And
yes, that's right.
Yes, but I'll tell you what, I was extremely, extremely giddy and happy and excited when I saw what he was putting together a few years ago. I mean, that had me like salivating at the mouth, man. I was ready to be a part of this thing no matter what, because he was doing it the right way, and the marketing was beautiful. And I was like, finally, somebody's getting it right.
Yeah, and I had a health issue which didn't let me manage the event, which is why I had to put it on pause.
That brought tears to my eyes when he tells me that he has to cancel this thing after months of us hyping this thing on the air and talking about it on the shows. And man, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get a press pass and I'm gonna go out there and we're gonna take videos, and we were jonesing about this thing, man. When he told me that, I was doing a show crying. That's how sad it was.
Well, these things happen, unfortunately.
It does. But now he's in good health, and now I think would be a great time to do this again.
I think that the timing is right with what's on TV, with what's on the net, and what's on the regular radio, as well as what's on internet radio and blogs, that there is enough of a fan base out there to do this style of UFO convention. I don't know if I want to call it a conference. I like, the way I have it planned, I think everybody will be more than happy with how comfortable of an atmosphere it's going to be and how open speaking the attendees as well as the guests will be at the event as well too.
Well, and people come to places, to things like this to have fun too.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, it's a
lot of fun at the UFO
social
event.
There's a lot
of things going on.
Yeah.
Right, it's a social event, but as we've seen at all the already existing events, it's the I don't want to get slammed for saying this, but it's an older crowd that a lot of new people don't feel welcomed into and can easily identify with the people. Okay, let me put it this way. The events that are going on now, the bigger conferences, the attendees who have been going for years are only friendly with the people that they've known for years. They don't really welcome in a new face for whatever reason.
Yeah, you're kind of like, you have to be like grandfathered into this thing.
Yeah.
So true.
It is true, yeah.
It's really, obviously it's really closed.
Well, you're going to say it's a cult?
No. I'm saying that the people that have been going to these events, do not welcome in the new blood or someone who's just coming in for a cursory peek, and it leads them to not want to come back again. Because they had such, while they enjoyed the information that they found out, they couldn't share in the camaraderie and the self-identification as being part of this wanting to know more phenomenon.
That wasn't our shows. If you look on the internet, people are still talking about the programs that I put together. We had a good cross-section of the public. People came. They listened to the speakers. They hung out all night till 5 o'clock in the morning sometimes. We had rock musicians there. We had painters. We had artists. We had people that were involved in the health community, holistic and so forth. But it was just so much work. You've really got to have a team of people behind you to do it. And like you say, a lot of our people got older, and a lot of them, frankly, passed away.
Well, my whole thing is that I'm going to take some of the workers from that already have the experience from the comic book convention world and plug them into this.
That's a good idea. All right.
So my thoughts and methodology and my planning hopefully will cover most of the bases.
And when will you make a decision on this?
I've been mulling it over for the past 2 months. I have hotels in different parts of the country that are begging me for the business. And I really haven't made a commitment to any of them yet, but I'm thinking I might want to announce something, if I do put it together, something in April or May, and, is when I'd announce when the event's going to happen, or the events plural. I like the idea of doing a tour. But, there's some planning that still needs to happen. There's names that I'd like to get on board and have them commit and confirm in writing that they'll be a part of each of these events. There's things I need to put on the table. There's papers that need to be put on the table before I launch this, I guess is a good way to put it. So there's some planning involved still, and I honestly think, though, if I do this right, the first event will happen probably September of 2016, if all works out. I like the idea of 18 months to plan for the first event. I'd rather overestimate than underestimate when it comes to trying.
That's a good amount of time because you could really promote the hell out of this thing.
Exactly.
I mean, you could saturate the internet for months and months and months.
Exactly.
With this thing. I mean, that's a great amount of time to promote it.
Exactly. And with everything that's going on in this world, my spec. I mean, here, let me ask you guys, all of you. I mean, I want to personally have it strictly ufology / ancient aliens. But I have other people that say, add a paranormal factor into it. Add a cryptozoology factor into it. What are your guys' views on that? I'd love to hear opinions on, should it be dedicated only to the UFO phenomena, or should we have a full spectrum event?
I think you should probably go for the full spectrum in a sense. If you're really trying to get a lot of people, you're trying to get as much people as you can, that's almost about the only way you could do it.
I agree with Chris here. I think he's right. Even though, my heart says, just do ufology only and really make it about that. But, thinking about it in a monetary way, you really would open yourself up for a bigger audience if you just go, right through the spectrum of paranormal, from ghostly activity, hauntings, whatever. Just go all right down the spectrum and focus it on everything, a little bit of everything. I think that is an ideal way to market it and go.
Especially for the first year and the first time, you're going to concentrate on as many people, as Beckley said, as many people as you can get on there. That is your key goal.
But I don't know. Do I want to take the, throw anything on a wall, shoot a shotgun at a wall and effect, or do you take a sniper effect and just zero in on the real target market?
Well, see, that's the thing about it. The UFO phenomena also has a paranormal aspect to it as well that a lot of people are loath to talk about, don't realize, what's going on. You look at just about any other, and I'll put this in quotes, paranormal event, whether it be poltergeist activity, ghost, Bigfoot sightings. There have been cases where UFOs have been associated with those, or vice versa.
Absolutely.
Right, right. So, I mean, if you just go and concentrate on strictly UFOs, then are you going to go then with like the nuts and bolts? Well, like, yeah, these, UFOs are definitely, extraterrestrials from other planets. Everything else is, is bullshit, or sorry, bullcrap.
Yeah, I can't say that on the dark.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so
and he's a professional, folks.
That's right.
Well, now here, for example,
Please.
I'm having Ted
Outrageous.
on the first show, February 7th, Unraveling the Secrets. Now, Ted, of course, started out when he was about, 20 years of age. He was down there in Socorro investigating the Lani Zamora, landing. And the police officer who saw this object with the tripod landing gear and so forth. And then he became associated with Dr. J. Allen Hynek and I guess collected over a period of 50 years something like 3,000 landing trace cases. Well, now he started out as being a big believer in the interplanetary aspects of this, and UFOs have to be coming from outer space. But he will be discussing his belief that there is a solid connection between UFO events and paranormal activities. What he has seen himself in the last 10 years or so has led him to believe that UFOs are paranormal in nature, and a lot more people are swinging over to that side because there is just not a heavy weight of evidence that UFOs are solid physical craft. Now, they may enter our atmosphere and take on a solid physical appearance for a brief period of time, but where do they go to? They just vanish? They go back to Pluto? I mean, every 15 minutes?
Well, but there's even there's even credible evidence that you could kind of look into that suggests that they're coming in from the inner Earth or from somewhere under.
Oh, well,
under
yeah.
the
So
sea.
we know that. Of course,
I mean, but you can look at any kind of evidence and draw any conclusion you want and say, well, they might be interplanetary, they might be from the ocean, they might be interdimensional.
Maybe it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that's the question though in ufology and in this field, Tim, is that the question is, what are they? Where are they from? We don't know. That's the big thing.
I know.
It's all speculation.
And we've been studying this for over 50 years.
Well, to be fair, we've been speculating about this for over 50 years.
Yeah, but I mean,
to be fair.
We could go into another hour here. But I mean, what kind of evidence is everybody's looking for different evidence. Everybody's looking for something that's going to prove their point of view. See,
their own personal hypothesis.
Yeah,
right.
that's where the whole
that's
thing
where
falls,
the ego comes in.
That's where the whole thing falls apart. See,
right?
Is because everybody wants to be the top dog. They all want to say, I'm the one that proved that this happened and that happened and that they're coming here.
That's like what we said earlier on the show, that we wanted to be that show. Yeah, good. Thanks.
Yeah, well,
thanks for calling me out there, Mr. Beckley.
Well, another topic, by the way, that was in the first hour was for who we have speaking. How do you separate the true speakers and the charlatans?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, now I had almost everybody. When I did a show, I would go from 9 o'clock in the morning till about 11 o'clock at night, which means that people would start going back to their rooms about 2:30 in the morning, and sometimes they'd even hang around later than that. Now, okay, we would have speakers from every point of view, and of course, some people were critical about it and say, "Well, I didn't want to be on your program," but I don't think anybody ever turned me down that I can think of. I mean, I had Bud Hopkins, I had Bill Cooper, probably one of the most controversial, individuals at the time. Yeah. Okay, so what I decided, and this is kind of what I do when I do my show. I want to find out something, but I know that other people in the audience are interested in aspects of this that I'm not particularly interested in. Why should I not have them get what they're coming to look for too? So somebody will say, I wouldn't have that person on the program. Well, why not? Unless they're a total lunatic. We had one.
Unless they're Michael Horn, then I would not.
I wouldn't have. That's one exception. Absolutely. Yeah. And another guy was this guy by the name of Harley Bird, who claimed that he was related to Admiral Byrd, but he couldn't decide whether he was his cousin, his nephew, or
yeah.
This guy was a total idiot and embarrassed himself in us. But other than that, I always decided let the audience, there was enough going on. We'd have 2 halls going simultaneously and workshops. So if you didn't like Al Bielek talking about the Philadelphia experiment, you could go in and see Jesse Marcel Jr. talk about Roswell. Now, which one's got the biggest audience? I don't want to embarrass anybody, but some of the more kuklified.
What? That's what we're getting at earlier. Yeah, but that's what we're getting at earlier. The
kukla means puppet in the Greek, by the way. But the
means something different in America.
The more abstract people usually got the bigger audience.
Yeah, that's what we were saying earlier. That usually the nuttier the person, the more new agey the person. That's the one that draws the most attention.
I think the more charismatic person, the more over the top the person is.
Well,
doesn't mean that their beliefs are a little off center or from the main topic, but those that are more charismatic usually get the larger attendees.
Now check this out, guys. We have only a few minutes left on the show here, and the last 10 minutes of the show, we always do this segment on the show called Blast from the A-Hole, and we have 5 blasts that's come in the last minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to play this now. By the way, we're going to do this with everybody on the air because actually one of the blasts that just came in pertains to you, Mr. UFO. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and cue the music for our last segment of the show, Blast from. And now, messages through the A-Hole. All right, here we go. Remember, this is fresh from the A-Hole. This just came to me about 5 minutes ago. This is a fresh deposit from the A-Hole. So if you guys want to get your questions in, remember, aholes@skywatchersradio.com. That's the email to send it to. Now, the first one comes from Antonio, and he's in Nova Scotia. Antonio in Nova Scotia. There you go. I didn't know they had Antonio.
That's a weird combination, but okay.
He says, if you get Giorgio T, he would sell out if you get him for one of your conventions. Giorgio T means Giorgio Toukoulous, obviously. Here's the thing. I don't think we could afford him, honestly, but maybe we could afford his hair.
I don't know how much he costs. I mean...
Him or the hair?
I don't know. It would be held to... Here's the joke. It would be held to pay. Held to pay? Like hair to pay?
Don't think you have to pay these people a lot of money because it's not like they've got 6 conventions going on in some other city, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, they're not going to price themselves out of existence.
No. I mean, I know how much Shatner costs because I've used him at a show.
All right.
Yeah, but Shatner is not a ufologist. He's a well-known actor.
No, but it's Star Trek. Right. It's Star Trek. Yeah. So there you go. That's the answer for Antonio there from the.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a small concession fee for him, but small.
All right, here. Next question, next blast through the A-Hole. It comes from William, and he says, hey, this show doesn't sound like... or never mind. All right, moving on. Sorry. All right. Next question. This is from Pedro in Texas. Pedro wants to know, can Mr. UFO explain why he is called Mr. UFO?
Yes, actually, I can.
Briefly, we have 1 minute. Go.
Yes. Okay, there was a rock musician. He was in a very well-known band. I won't mention the band. Who could never remember my name because he was either too drunk or too high. But somehow he remembered that I was into UFOs, so if I ran to him backstage or somewhere else in a bar, he would remember that I was Mr. UFO, but he couldn't remember my name, and it kind of stuck, and why not? I am Mr. UFO. I've been doing this for 50 years, and not too many other people can claim that.
There you go. That's the answer.
And that's my blowback.
There you go. The first blowback from Blast through the A-Hole. Next blast from the A-Hole comes from Lamar out in Kansas. It says here, what is it about Bigfoot that you don't like, Angel? And does Alan, your co-host, agree? And well, I'm gonna let Alan answer second here. Let me answer first, Alan. What don't I believe about Bigfoot? Everything. There's not been one iota of evidence that I've ever seen that proves that there's any existence of a Sasquatch. I mean, I've seen a lot of hokey videos. There's that, those people that had the Bigfoot in the fridge a couple of years ago that turned out to be fake. Every time there's some kind of activity with Bigfoot, it always turns out to be a hoax, fake. And that really tells me that there's really nothing there. And again, if there was such a thing as Bigfoot, why hasn't anybody shot him in the head yet and dragged that big carcass to where everybody could see it? You would figure with all the trigger-happy people, on moonshine in the South, somebody would have shot a Bigfoot by now. But no, nobody, nothing. Not even a baby Bigfoot. I mean, I'll take one of those. Just, don't shoot it, it's a baby. But at least bring a baby Bigfoot out of the woods, get him on CNN. We'll bring back Larry King. He's as old as their species, I'm sure. We'll put him on the air together. And there, we could have full disclosure that Bigfoot is real, but we haven't had that. So there you go. And now, Alan,
but Angel, we don't have an alien either.
This is true, but we live on a planet that goes round and round a sun, and there's other planets out there. So I'm pretty sure that's a safe answer that there is aliens out there. But anyway, Alan, answer your part of the a-hole question here.
I think honestly that do
you agree with me, or do you disagree?
I disagree. I think the possibility of
you would.
Well, there are more and more species being found as so many die every single day across this world. I think that it's realistically possible that there are things that have not been classified or have not been found yet in this world. There's so much of this world that is still not explored, and I'm not talking just the oceans, but even land. There are land masses that have not been truly explored. Not to mention all the caves and spelunking that could be done, and God only knows what lives in there. I mean, they're breaking into caves while mining where they have their own self-sustaining biospheres with animals and plant life that hasn't been seen for hundreds of thousands of years. And they're now showing that they're flourishing in pockets around the world. So I think it's possible. Why haven't they shot one? Because I think they are, if they're that big and they have a brain half as big as ours, that they probably are smart enough to stay hidden reasonably well, and they communicate to their children or their relatives in some form of communication to what to look out for and what not to do to stay away from humanity.
Well, there you go. That's a good answer. Long-winded.
Sorry.
But it gets the job done.
Yeah.
Good job.
What's
now,
next?
We got one more blast from the a-hole here, and actually we got two more. We got one from Pablo and one from a guy named Clayton, and this one involves Mr. Tim Swartz over there. So we'll get to Clayton's in a second. But Pablo wants to know, what if was this here? Let me get a little closer. I can barely read this. What would you do if an alien tried to probe you? And this is towards Alan and myself. Alan, you want to tackle this one first with your long-winded answers?
What would happen if an alien wanted to probe me? Take me out on a date first. Use some lube. Point him in your direction, actually, Angel.
Well, I wouldn't turn down the opportunity to get probed if they're gentle. I've often said that they could throw me a rope ladder. They don't need to beam me up like, Travis Walton got beamed and probably killed by accident and then brought back to life. You don't need to go that route. Just throw me a rope ladder down from your UFO. I'll climb up. I am fully capable of being here for you and entertaining you. You don't even have to, forcibly probe me. I know they put this thing over your genitals where they extract semen. There's no need for that. Give me a cup. I'll go in the room. We're good. I'm here for you.
I did not need that visual.
All right. Now, there you go. That's my answer on this blast from the a-hole.
All right, what's the last one for the night?
The last one is for Mr. Tim Swartz over here. Mm-hmm. The blast from Clayton, his question is, he wants to know your relationship with your co-host, Mr. Mike Mott on The Outer Edge, is a very fun relationship. You guys have a lot of great banter back and forth. Is it ever a problem with getting a word in with Mr. Mott, because he really, really likes to talk? That's a great question.
That is a great question, and yes.
How hard is it?
Yes, sometimes it is difficult getting a word in edgewise, but I mean, it's like doing a show with Mr. Beckley as well. Yeah.
Hey now.
Well, Tim, do you deny that?
Well, no, that's true. I remember one time I was on Coast to Coast, and I was very upset the next day when I heard the playback. I said, George Norrie only asked me 8 questions, and Brad Steiger said, "Yeah, but you didn't stop talking for 3 hours." So, once in a while I can get wound up, and other times not so much. I don't know. It depends on my mood for the evening, and how I find that if I do too many shows at this around the same time, that I get burnt out a little. So recently I didn't do a show for outside of The Outer Edge, I didn't do a show for about 2 months just because I had done so many shows. I was just talked out. And now I'm back on the trail of the flying saucers. So
there you go. Well, see, and it's the same way. It's the same way with Mike Mott. When he gets going, I'll just sit back and just let him go, because a lot of times the stuff that he has to say is going to be a lot better than I can try to jam in there myself. So.
Exactly, especially when we're talking about Blast from the A-hole. He's definitely the one that jams it in there properly. He is a believer in Bigfoot, though. Like, I will say that he believes in Sasquatch, does he not?
Oh, yes, he does. Yep, and I do as well.
And does he drink moonshine?
We both do.
See what I'm saying, folks?
I've been here in Oregon my whole entire life, and I have never seen Bigfoot. I don't even know anybody that's even seen Bigfoot that I've ever even ran into. So it's like everybody that sees Bigfoot is from another state. So
we had the Bigfoot chick on last week or 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Was she hairy?
No. She's very nice. She's very nice.
Very good. Yeah.
I would go out in the woods hunting Bigfoot with her.
Yeah, really. I got to see a picture of this young lady.
Well, she's on.
Hold on.
She's on your website there.
Yeah.
Well, we got to take a look here, because you're a little bit older than I am, Tim. So maybe what's hot for you is not hot for a spring chicken like myself. What do you think?
I don't think so. I think it goes across all age boundaries there.
Well then, I got to check this girl out.
That's right. Beautiful is beautiful.
Yes, that is true. And you know what else is beautiful? This network that we're on, the Dark Matter Radio Network. And you know what else is beautiful? The other network that we're on, PSN Radio. And we are live, but unfortunately we got to sign off for the night on both networks and say goodbye. So sad. But guys, we are...
Great show.
We are thankful that you guys were on the show with us and spent the hour with us. Mr. Chris Brown, of course,
Thank
who
you.
is a great guest and a good friend, and we always love having him on. Mr. UFO, Timothy Beckley.
Hey.
Another great friend, and of course the future host of Unraveling the Secrets.
February 7th.
Yeah, what time again? Give us a time.
11 o'clock?
That's right, 11 Eastern.
That's correct.
Yeah, 11 o'clock Eastern time for 2 hours, Unraveling the Secrets. And what's your co-host's name again? Give us the name.
Carla Anderson.
Shout-outs to Carla Anderson.
A wonderful person, by the way.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun with you guys on that show. And, of course, the one and the only, Mr. Tim Swartz, one of my favorites. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Rock. This was a very special show. Of course, this is our first adventure on Wednesday night at 10 p.m. The 10 p.m. to midnight hour on Dark Matter Radio Network. And we're going to pimp this out, man. We're going to have a lot of fun on this time slot. We're going to have some great guests in 2015. It's going to be a great ride. And, of course, later on this year, we get to say to you guys to stick around because the big guy is on next. So just think about that. That's coming soon.
Cool.
That is cool, indeed.
Yep.
Guys, until next week, when we are back on this very, very, very great show, I bid you all good night, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, sayonara, ching chong, hey, to you all.
Good night, Bigfoot, wherever you are.
That's right.
Oh, sorry, that was a Wookiee. Yeah, that was a Wookiee. Sorry.
How dare you invoke Chewbacca?
That included free shipping.
They really charged you for the chipping now, dude.
Absolutely, yeah.
One way or another,
there was nothing free about. Yeah, there was nothing free out of that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Nothing free. But you sound great, Mr. UFO.
Thank you.
You do.
Well, I've been doing this. I've been doing this now since the mid 1960s. I think I did my first radio show, and I've probably been on over 1,000 radio and TV programs. And now, thanks to you, Angel, I'm getting my own show after all these years.
Not only that, and finally, after all this time, you finally sound great on radio. Look at this.
Congratulations all around.
Well, yeah, no, he is starting his own show. In fact, he is sort of taking over a show that once was held by the man who's on the line with us, Mr. Tim Swartz. Tim Swartz, I know. I say Schwartz, I'm sorry.
Ah,
but
that's all right. May
the other
Schwartz
Tim,
be with you.
the Schwarzenegger, of course, he's taking over Unraveling the Secrets with Timothy Beckley now.
That's right. That's right.
And my co-host, Carla Anderson.
Carla Anderson and Timothy Beckley are Unraveling the Secrets.
And that will be starting February 7th at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. See, we're moving up in the screen. Yes, indeed. So they had to go around the studio and find somebody with the same shirt size so they could loan me their shirt. The broadcast.
I can imagine that conversation. Can I borrow your shirt? You fit. Same size. Same size. Take your shirt off.
I'm going to take the shirt off your back.
Yeah, he meant that literally.
All these things happen.
Not playing. Yeah, they do. Now, in the last segment, we were talking about conventions, and we've all kind of had our fair share of experiences in conventions, but none has had better experiences, I think, than Mr. UFO himself and Alan, the co-host here, who was owning it, like we said on the first segment. But Chris Brown is also going to be on a convention pretty soon, right, Chris? You're going to do your first big convention?
Yeah, my first one here. I'm working with the director of the McMinnville UFO Festival here in Oregon, and so we've been in touch here. For actually 2 weeks ago we talked, and we're working with him. We're actually maybe trying to get Bill there, so that'll work out. But who knows? But yeah, that's in the plans. So if that happens, that'll be in I believe May 17th. To the 21st, I believe it goes on, or the days.
Are you part of the
All right, everybody, we're back on Skywatchers Radio right here on the Dark Matter Radio Network, of course. Also live on PSN Radio. If you guys are listening in, please join the chat over on psn-radio.com. Check out the chat over there. And, of course, right now we're going to be joined by a few gentlemen who might have a thing or two to say about what we were talking about with Bill, Nancy, and James on the previous segment. We have none other than, and I'm going to go down the line here so everybody say hi as I mention your name. First of all, we have Mr. Chris Brown on the line. Chris Brown, say hello to the crowd.
Hey, how you doing, Angel?
All right. I didn't think you were going to say hello there for a second. Spooked me. All right. Then we also have Mr. Tim Swartz on the line, Conspiracy Journal's own, and from the Outer Edge. There you go. Sorry.
There you go. No. It's hello to the crowd outside.
Jumped the gun just slightly, almost at it.
The world.
Yes, indeedy.
Sideways or
excellent
backwards.
Well,
as long as we're not traveling back in time, that's always a good thing. Moving forward.
Unless you're going to change something in the past that's going to benefit the future, then it's kind of worth it. No?
Yeah.
I'm alone on this one, huh?
I'd have to think about that. I've been almost perfect all my life, so.
But don't you wish that you can go back to that one time that you weren't perfect? Like, that one time you were caught picking your nose in traffic or something.
Well, no,
pretty lady.
The worst experience I ever had,
I
think I might have mentioned this to you, Angel. I was on a TV show with Woody Derenberger and a couple other people in Washington, D.C. And I got a bloody nose while I was on the air. But now, actually being, used to the camera and so forth, what I would do is luckily there were two or three other guests, while they were interviewing, the cameras were on the other guests, I would be busily wiping the blood from my nose. But that has to be certainly one of the most embarrassing experiences. And then one other time I was on a TV show, and I thought, geez, I'll dress really nice. I'll wear a blue shirt. And I was supposed to show like a dozen slides. Well, the slides would have shown on my shirt because in
blue
those
screen
days,
instead of green screen.
Last but definitely not least, by no means is this man least, the one, the only, Mr. UFO himself, Mr. Timothy Beckley is back on Skywatchers. Welcome back, sir.
I'm always flying high when I'm on the air on PSN Network. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, man.
Okay, I got to ask what state you're from if you're flying high.
What state? Oh, well, I'm in the Big Apple, snow-covered.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Oh, I thought you were saying you're flying high because it's in a state where it's legal.
Well, maybe that
You
too.
came out in Oregon.
No, I gave that up. I gave that up 40 years ago.
Funny.
He's just in a natural state of euphoria.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, that works too.
Hey, this
40
is my
years
first,
ago, huh?
This is my first Skype broadcast.
It is,
Really?
and you sound fabulous.
Yeah, how about that?
because you just got yourself hooked up here with this amazing amount of hardware. I mean, this man went crazy spending money. He bought himself mixing boards, professional Yeti microphones. I mean, he went to town and spent $20-something on a headset.
There you go.
And he sounds great. Look at him.
It was $39, I think, yeah.
Oh, you must have gotten the one that came
But
from